What's up, Raiders? Bionic here. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video, which is going to be a follow-up of the ultimate free-to-play challenge. If you guys do not know what this challenge is all about, I have covered it already 3 times, so this will be the 120-day progress update. So what this player is doing, which you might have seen in the previous videos, that he's not using any ancient shards, void shards, or sacred shards. That means most of his champions will come from obviously mystery shards, but from like farmables from the campaign, also any freebies we might get from the daily login rewards, and also any champions that might be accessible during fusion events, right? So he did manage to get, for example, like a Bulwark, which is a void champion, which you typically not get unless you open void shards. So still, his progress can actually be helped from within the game. But you'll see that the bulk of his champions are in fact these so-called freebies and those farmables, okay? So what we're going to do today is not cover all these champions yet again. What I want to share is his story first of all, because he did give me a lot of details on sort of what's happening with this account. And then we'll take a look a little bit more at his dungeon runs, because he's almost at level or stage 13 for all of them with only these champions. And I think that's pretty amazing, because if anything, what this is going to give you guys is proven setups. Things you can fall back to if you don't have the champions you need to progress. So a lot of you guys may be early in the game or just starting out or wondering, how the heck do I even make it to stage 13? I'm having a hard time. Use this as a model. I think it will be perfect. Okay, so pulling up his story here real quick, and we're not going to cover all of this, but I still wanted to somewhat go over some of the details or like the issues he's having. As you saw with the missions, arena is still a big problem. He made it to silver 1 a few times, but he just cannot get those 50 medals. Okay, so last year for me this was quite different. This was really easy. I had completed all 150 the first 150 missions, okay, all the way to this point right here in 35 days. He's going on 4 months and he's still barely past the first quarter basically of all of these missions, right? So again, big problem with the arena. Here's a screenshot he gave me as well. This is the team that he's facing, all right, in bronze 4 or low silver 1. Like, I didn't have that last year. Like this, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Plarium really needs to address this as quickly as possible so that every player can progress the same way, or at least similar to how I did last year as the free-to-play player. Okay, so back to his story. Then he goes on about Tag Team Arena. Same kind of issue there. We can look at his basically log here real quick, but he's saying that, you know, he just can't compete. He's in bronze 2 right now, most likely going to fall back to bronze 1. But here again, we sort of have, like, you know, these legendaries. A lot of legendaries attacking him. And let's face it, his teams are not crazy. We have a lot of uncommons in there because that's what he's trying to use for the rest of the content in the game. So if anything, this is just for now a little bit of extra resources, because yeah, he is accumulating some gold bars. Anyway, I think this is pretty interesting. He's not really spending them. He did say he bought the energy at one point, then I think you have a weak timer on this, but still, look at the amount of gold bars for the champions that he has. So guys, don't underestimate the Tag Team Arena even early on. If anything, you'll get a couple more things that you can use, and that should help you progress overall. Okay, back to the story here real quick. We do have the clan boss. He's saying right here, 1 key around 7 million damage on easy, 1 key normal is 6 million, and then he can 3 key hard for the 4.5 million damage, but he does have a Bulwark, so that really helps. Still, it's really nice to see that he's been able to achieve that even with with just those farmable champions. Dungeons, that's what we're going to focus on today. We want to see this performance. I've been talking about it for a while, so we'll get to that in a second. Faction Wars, he's been trying to progress. He's saying that Barbarian and Sacred Order are kicking butt. Some of the other ones, not as much. Probably just because of the type of champions that are accessible in the campaign, or like the uncommons that are actually useful for the rest of the content of the game. Turns out they're more Sacred Order and Barbarians, so that means that those factions are actually doing pretty well. Tournaments, 0 participation for the time being, and it's just like, it's not feasible for a very young account like that to actually compete. Therefore, it's usually not even worth it for him to push whatsoever, so he's kind of ignoring that completely right now. Artifact upgrades, obviously probably still a big problem. Always short on silver like any free-to-play player. Basically like everybody. I think we're always very short on silver. So he's doing his best, but it is limiting his progress. Book and shards, I think he's saving up a lot on those. We'll look at what he has saved up for now. And then he's going on about why is he doing this. He is posting the progress on Reddit. So if you guys want to go check him out, please do so. Go chat with him. Give him some ideas. Give him some positive feedback. And hopefully we can see a lot more of this account in the future. And so for leveling now, he's focusing a little bit more on Cribs and Slayer is what he's needing for the Fire Knight and the Spider, I believe. So we'll check that in a second, okay? So real quick, let's go over the roster, or maybe let's start with the Great Hall. As you can see, big problem. Can't progress in silver. You can't do rank 4. So that is a problem, okay? So until that is fixed, he's gonna have to, I guess, do 3 everywhere, right? Until that becomes a little bit more doable for him. A couple brews saved up, I like that. Rank, not a lot of chicken saved up. Look at all these books. Guys, see what I mean? Like, if you do save your resources and use them at the right time, at some point he's going to get Salve the Drakes or eventually Vizix, although she's not as good. But Salve the Drakes will be a big boost to this account. He's almost going to be able to max her out, not to mention all these extra epic books. If he does pull a really solid epic eventually, or when he gets some of the freebies, right? I'm guessing maybe not Lordly Legionary, maybe Dark Elaine. He would work on her a little bit more, maybe put some books into her, but still, because he's only using rares and uncommons, he has a lot of those saved up. What about here, potions? Did we keep? Okay, we do have a couple, right? It's actually pretty decent, but again, he's not, there's a portion of the content he's not doing in the game because he's only using certain champions. Anyway, okay, let's do the roster here real quick. We have Jizzo, Bulwark, War Maiden, Grave Chill Killer, Kale, and Ethel, which he got pretty lucky. I guess he pulled a second starter champion. Of course, we have an Armiger. We have the Haikatoon, Crimson Slayer, which he said he's now working on. Shield Guard, really solid. Anointed, really solid as well. This guy has, what is it, AoE turn meter reduction? No, not this guy. This one is the turn meter buff with the increased crit rate. That's right, 25% for an uncommon. This is really, really solid. We have also Myrmidon, then we've got Sergeant, Dervish, Outlander, Crusader, we have the Spirit Host. The rest looks like maybe a little bit more food, and I think I saw a couple more in the vault here. We do have Dark Ethel. We have the, what's this guy's name? Ogren Jailer, I think. This is Zephyr Sniper. And we have another Anointed, no, Outlander right here, okay? So, oh, he does have the Horden as well. Maybe he could put the books in that Horden and work on this guy. Also has the, what's this guy? Grinner, which is a Reviver, so he could work with that as well. So, guys, he does have even more options. He has the Marks down here, which is a pretty solid rare as well. So it's looking good, okay? But obviously you have to expect that he's going to progress a lot slower than the rest of us. All right, now let's look at the faction wars real quick. So we have about 192 stars. Then he said Sacred Order and Barbarian is doing pretty well. 37 stars and 28 stars. The rest is okay-ish, right? Whatever he can do with those champions. Arena, we checked Tag Arena real quick, but here we are. Low bronze 4, and as you saw with the screenshot, I mean, he is encountering a lot of teams with like these crazy legendaries. It's somewhat normal. The game is older. There are more players. Plarium did say this, but still, I feel like it's somewhat unfair that players can't progress as well as I did. It is what it is. We're going to hope it's going to be fixed in the near future, right? As for his clan boss team, he did not do a run today. He hasn't logged on so far. He does still have the Jizzo in here. I believe the Haikatoon maybe eventually will come in and replace one of these champions. But we have our decreased defense. We have a weaken, triple hit. We have some poisons, extend debuffs. Overall, it's pretty decent, all right? I do see him use Jizzo a lot, and it makes sense. Jizzo is actually a pretty strong champion. I did a video of this guy literally 3-starring the entire campaign up to Brutal at level 50 with decent gear, right? So do not underestimate the power of Jizzo early on. So what we're going to do now is, as I said, go into these dungeons real quick. Ice Golem, we have 3 minutes. Okay, or 2 minutes on stage 13. That's actually not bad. And what are we using here? We have the Haikatoon, the Kale, Ethel, War Maiden, and Armiger. Okay, so guys, this is 100% accessible. You guys can do this early on. And these champions are actually end game viable. Okay, we've talked about them before, so they will follow you through your entire progression of the game. Sure, you'll get better versions eventually, like the legendaries and whatnot, but still, I believe that by focusing on the accessible champions first, it might actually be a little bit easier for you guys who are just starting out. Dragon, what do we have? 13 a minute 44. It's pretty solid as well. Again, here with the Jizzle, the Bulwark. So we're going to try a run of this before I let you guys go. Spider, I think he's having a little bit of a harder time trying to push to reach 13 because you can farm finally this for the 6-star rank gear. Okay, so that's the big goal here, to make it there first. So here we have Jizzle yet again. We have the same champions, basically the same champions which are used elsewhere in the game. And let's look at the final one, Fire Knight. What does it look like? We have 6 minutes and 5 seconds, and I believe the Crimson Slayer here would come in this slot right there. Okay, so it is doable. Okay, guys, most of these champions are pretty accessible. So let's do a run of this dungeon, the Dragon, before I let you guys go. I want to see this in action. I hope it's full auto. We're gonna try it. We're gonna see what happens. Okay. All right, let's go full auto. AoE decreased defense, yes. We have Bulwark with his A2 HP burn, big AoE number 2. Boom, first wave done. We didn't even take any hits whatsoever. Here we might have a little bit more issues, but if the HP of these champions is done properly, they're going to probably target the Jizzle first. Being a defense type champion, that should be all right. As he has a little bit more survivability, right? So the affinity is helping us out here. It is the same affinity as Dragon 20, so probably using the Jizzle as somewhat of a pseudo tank to get this done. But we're doing pretty good. We barely took any hits so far, so this is good. I'm impressed. Big hit right there. Boom, 48 seconds to clear both waves. That's actually pretty solid. So here we go on the boss. We're going to have HP burn, which does work. We are going to have some poisons from Kale, which is also going to help out quite a bit. We're getting that increased attack buff from the Jizzle. Okay, so that does come into play. Sure, we're not super speedy. We're not using the Haikatoon, but overall, I think the debuffs will do a lot of the work for us. So it's a great way to do it. Okay. I mean, I'm just trying to look at these health bars, trying to figure out how many hits is going to be taken. I'm guessing 2-3 more hits. It doesn't look like we die, is what I was trying to figure out. So it's pretty solid overall. He has enough damage output or enough survivability to be able to take on the dragon at this stage. I'm also trying to wonder sort of like how far could he push this along. Obviously not quite ready for 17, but still, I think that this combo or this team right here could actually pull it off, could actually make it that much further with better gear. So if anything, this is scalable. This is really scalable in terms of accessible champions. I'm really tempted to try and test this build all the way up to Dragon 20 now, right? Because again, these are all accessible champions. That was pretty easy. 2 minutes, we were never really close of dying whatsoever. So I'm impressed. Again, I'm gonna say I'm impressed. We're gonna keep this. He might actually need that. And now let's just go quickly over these 5 champions before I let you guys go, because I think we're already above 12 minutes or so. So we had the Jizzle here, which is not in lifesteal. Okay, we have decent stats overall, but look at that defense, right? So if anything, if this is the guy that's going to be taking the hits, no problem there, at least not for that stage. And I'm tempted to say even perhaps higher with that. Then we have the Bulwark, obviously being used against the clan boss, so he does have some lifesteal gear and pretty decent stats overall as well. Look at that speed, wow. Finally, we have the War Maiden, which is not in lifesteal because he is using Grave Shield Killer. So this being somewhat more of like a dungeon champion right now and arena. Still, look at that speed yet again. Decent attack, decent amount of accuracy, but I can imagine that, you know, getting accuracy banners right now is probably a big problem. I think he also explains that in his story, is that he's still having a hard time finding the right main stat pieces for some of the gear that he would like to use right now. Okay, so we have the Kale right here, which is in lifesteal, obviously. Okay, decent stats here as well, decent amount of accuracy for where he's at in the game. We have the Thel, also in lifesteal, obviously, that makes a lot of sense. Looks like he's probably tuned for almost even Nightmare right now, but he doesn't have a counterattack champion, so it might not matter that much. And yes, that's basically it, right? It was these 5 right here. So again, sort of like his bread and butter right now is some of his best champions. Do we have skills done on the Jizzo? We don't. Interesting. So maybe it would be interesting to see if it's actually viable to put books into Jizzo early on, just to see how far he can push us into the game. Masteries are not all done, masteries are not all done, masteries are not all done, and masteries are not all done. So guys, even if he were to just focus on this a little bit more, his clan boss damage would go up drastically. I'm curious to see how far is he on in Mino. We didn't check that, but I'm guessing he's on 15 right now. Yeah, 14. Heck, I'm even tempted to say that Jizzo can maybe be the guy to solo this. I'm gonna have to try it out. I'm really thinking we're underestimating the potential of Jizzo early on, especially in a challenge like this. He's a great champion. Okay, so guys, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I think we've covered enough for today. If you guys have any questions for him, he is gonna comment on this video. Also, let us know what you think in the comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback on this ultimate challenge. And it's really a bummer to see that he's being stopped by this, or by these missions, the ones that are related to the arena. I really wanna see just how far he can get. I would love to see this account make it to Arbiter. It would be literally next level. But I think now another thing he's going to do is he's going to wait until he's going to have 1,000 ancient shards before opening all of them. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you later.